the 2-set method. It's a bit confusing though. People don't know the details, how to do it, why to do it, and what the real benefits are of doing 2 sets. What have you found?
What makes it special is that it's not time consuming. It's a pretty short workout, 45 minutes. So people who have a job, they have a family, they have kids, it's perfect for them. It fits them amazingly. Yeah. So what's also something about that? It's not 2 sets in total. It's 2 warm-up sets or even 3 warm-up sets and then 2 working sets until failure. And if you look at most programs, which are very good for strength, they're pretty high in volume, but low in intensity. And here, failure for strength, it's a bit suspicious. Most methods for strength, they don't have failure in them. So why does the 2-set method claim to be good for strength? Well, it's a combination of you gaining good muscles, failure, and you combining failure with getting stronger. So how do you combine failure with getting stronger? By having a strength technique in the sets. So in the sets, you don't go slow and controlled, which will not really get you strength that much, but it will get you good muscles. You go explosive and intense. And you have a specific way to go until failure. For example, you do dips. You start your working set, you do dips non-stop. Until non-stop becomes tough, you take a pause, 2-3 seconds. Boom, 1 rep. 2, 3, 4 seconds, 1 rep. And so on until you achieve failure. So you have a specific way to reach failure. And you rest 5 to 7 minutes. And the main reason, Jan, why 2 sets, why not 3 sets? If you do 3 sets, I've noticed one thing, and I've noticed it from people I coach, I noticed it from myself when I did it. If I do 3 sets, I can't progress the overload in the second movement that I'm doing in the workout. So if you're doing weighted dips and then you have bench or a chest press machine at the gym, if you do 3 sets until failure on dips, your second movement becomes all over the place. One day you might be actually lifting the weight that you plan to lift. One day you might need to take 10 kilos less. It becomes a bit too much to do 3 sets with a strength technique. Not with slow control technique, with a strength technique. So it becomes basically like it's a golden middle. You understand? And what's the thing about this method? It will take you to minimum 40 kilos for 10 reps on weighted pull-ups and minimum 70 kilos for 10 reps on weighted dips. And you can achieve minimum 70 to 80% of all the muscles you can ever achieve. If you do 2 exercises and 2 sets until failure. And why do I say it so confidently? Because I'm the example, my best friend is the example, my brother is the example. I've got hundreds of people who are the example of very good results to get to the point where I told you. So can you do something about these examples? No, you can't say they're fake, right? So again, it works. It's a good way to get into training, understand how things work, gain some muscles. Maybe one day you get into a different method, which is more strength related if you don't care about muscles anymore. So we can get into that also a bit later, but yeah.
Low volume has become much more popular again recently because people realize how important intensity is and proximity to failure for both strength and muscle building as well. And I feel ya with that 3rd set on the big compound movement, if you're progressing on it, that first exercise for 3 sets, week after week, you just start not being able to do that and make progress on the subsequent exercises. Whereas if you've only done those 2 sets, you'll be taxed, but you've still got more to give. If it was, say, on dips, you could still get a few more quality sets on a handstand push-up or an overhead press afterwards. And I like bringing back intensity because I look around a lot on social media now and also in gyms, the intensity is pretty lacking, man. I see people doing the same reps, the same weight, they look the same week after week, month after month. And I look at this 2-set method and I like how it also constrains your intensity. You got two efforts to do. You go hard, you progress each week, and it has a lot of longevity in that respect. You also added something in there, an intensity technique, the rest, pause, myo rep style way of getting some more volume. Because if you just do straight reps, it's hard to always progress because you can get into plateaus and it can slow down your progress. But if you pause a little bit, you have that mini recovery, progress is progress.
Man, I remember a stage of my life where I only knew about the 2-set method. I got to some good results from it. I didn't know about other methods. And you know what's the most dangerous part about this part? Is that I fought 5 sets of 5, which is a great way to gain strength. These other methods, I thought they're very bad because I didn't know about them. You understand? Same here. If an athlete who's only into strength, he knows 2, 3 strength methods. He looks at 2-set method that claims to be good for strength. He sees failure. He sees only 2 sets. He will think it's bad. Unless he learns more details about it. Unless he sees that, okay, this method has given crazy results to many people. Is there a method better than 2-set method for muscle gains? Yes, but that method will not be better than 2-set method for strength. Is there a method better than 2-set method for strength? Definitely, many of them. But all of those methods will not be as good as 2-set method for muscle gains. You understand? Because the methods for strength have less intensity, and less intensity equals less muscle gains. And the methods for muscle growth will have more sets until failure, but the technique will be slow and controlled, and more sets until failure, more time to recover needed, so it's going to be worse for strength, but better for muscle. So it's like a golden middle method that is very good, you understand? And I say that as if you now check with me, Jan, okay, you say you know this method, tell me about it. Bro, I can share easily, no problem, everything. So you'll understand that this guy knows methods, he knows the stuff, and he still says this method is very good. Very suspicious, you understand? It's like, what does he say? That maybe because it's true, you understand? So, but yeah.
For muscle gain, the recommendation is generally 10 to 20 sets, hard sets per week to get muscle growth. If you're using the 2-set method a few times a week, you're not really reaching that 10-set minimum. What do you think? Is it a hard requirement? You need 10 to 20 sets, or are these 2-set method sets so damn hard that it's stimulating like crazy?
Yeah. So one thing with the 2-set method that you'll notice, once you do it, you will not be able to recover from a push day in 4 days or less. So imagine 2 sets. You can't recover. Usually how it looks is 1 day after the 2-set method, you feel 100% or 80 to 100% soreness. The next day, you almost feel the same thing, but let's say it's 70 to 90% soreness. The third day, you feel like 20% soreness or 30. The fourth day, you feel nothing, but there's still something there, like 10% that you don't feel. So just in case you give the 5th day to be sure that there is no muscle soreness. That's how it usually works for anybody who does the method correctly. If you don't go until failure the way I suggest you, you're not going to be that sore. If you don't do things the way I suggest you, it's not going to be that way. You understand? And there's no chance you can do it every 3 days. You can do it, but you're not going to progress. You understand? So, yeah.
How about accessory exercises for the 2-set method? Are you just doing that big compound? Are you actually including any isolation stuff afterwards? How does it work?
So when it comes to the isolations, I suggest usually people to do a chest press machine, which is just you pushing forward or you pushing a bit here. The reason I don't suggest bench press is for a good reason, because bench press is a very intense compound movement. After dips until failure, it's going to be a bit dangerous. I would not suggest it to someone who's just got into training. It's dangerous. You understand? If you're a bit experienced, if you know what you're doing, you don't make mistakes, it's okay, I can suggest it. But why do bench press when there's chest press, which is a more chill movement, same muscles work, better for everything, it's just not called a bench press. You understand? You do bench press because your goal is to get good at bench press. You don't do it because it's the best movement for muscle growth. So a chest press machine where you're pushing forward or a bit up to hit the upper chest, and to hit the upper chest the most. You don't need this angle. This is perfect. More than enough to hit the upper chest. So you hit most of the movements. From my other accessories, I suggest people is after every workout, side delts, because they recover quick and they're pretty also important. And the reason I tell people to train side delts, because it's a very suspicious muscle. I was strong at weighted pull-ups, weighted dips, handstand push-ups, muscle-ups, side delts. I was lifting the smallest number on a machine. This machine, smallest number, 10 reps. So you're thinking, this is probably not normal. So why would you work on it if you never need it for most movements? Because it's easy to combine it. Understand? And then one day you do a movement where you're using the strong side of the shoulder, you go a bit to the side and you suddenly use the very weak part, injury straight away. So it's easy to combine.
Or just weakness. It's bottlenecking your performance because you don't have sound shoulder strength everywhere.
Same with training wrists, same with training lower back. Lower back is one of the most important things. I would rather tell someone, bro, skip abs, but train lower back, because every single human being has trained abs 10 times more than they train lower back. So there's an interesting imbalance there also. So train lower back, it's a very big priority basically. Because you hear, oh, many people have lower back problems. And it's so easy to get injured, it's crazy. You might be very strong at deadlifts, at lifting weights. One day you pick up something the wrong way with a bit rounded back, and by being to the side a bit, turned to the side, you get injured already. You understand? So it's a very, very interesting one. So lower back, forearms, maybe even traps and rotator cuff. So this movement and that movement. And they recover so quick. They never will affect your training in a bad way. Only if you have a push day today, you do this movement, and in 2 days you've got pull day. Because you use your biceps a bit, it might be a bit sore. But if you get used to doing this exercise, it's not going to be sore. Only in your first couple of times of doing it. So yeah.
I would also add the arms. Ian, how could you forget the bro day, mate? With the arms, the biceps, the triceps, you got to target those directly for a bit of extra aesthetics, mate.
You know, I would skip them. Because I skip them all the time.
That's where we differ.
Yeah, they look proportional, right? In my case. They look pretty proportional to the rest of the body. Okay, the bicep stuff, good genetics, so they're maybe coming out a bit more than the other muscles, which is normal. But I've never trained them. Would I suggest people to train them? It's pretty interesting one, because you need a different workout structure. So you would need, let's say, you do push day today, pull day tomorrow, then 2 days rest, maybe arms, and then you need 2-3 days rest before repeating the cycle because you trained arms.
Because of course, you can also include them on the pull and push day, but if you put them at the end of the workout, people are so tired, they just go through the motions, they don't track their numbers, they don't try and progress, and then the arm stays.
Yeah, you know, if you do 2-set method for weighted pull-ups and then 2-set method for rows, you can't progress the overload on biceps. You can't. They're too tired. They're done. You understand? It might be possible if you do the 2-set method wrong. If you do it properly, man, your hands, you cannot fully extend them. So it's very, very tough. They will feel weird. The lactic acid, you feel the lactic acid. It feels very weird. So if you do a bodybuilding style, you just hit failure in a chill way, not with a strength technique. You can combine everything. You understand? So if I would be only focusing on muscle gains, I would do for back 3 movements, compound movements, for push 3 compound movements, and triceps and biceps. So biceps after pull day, triceps after push day, if I'm only into muscle gaining. And I would just do 1-2 warm-up sets, 3-4 sets until failure, of the rep range of 8 to 15 or 20, and that's it, with a nice load control technique, and that's it. And the rest is diet and sleep.
For the people that are excited to follow this 2-set method and get those consistent results, how long can you see progress by running this type of program? We're talking half a year. When does it usually stall from your experience?
You can see progress for 3 to 5 years. Even that long. Even that long, but people tend to stop after the first plateau. Or they hit a plateau, they don't know how to get out of it, so they just think that is the method. No, this method will take you even more far than what I told you. Even more far than 40 kilos for 10 reps on pull-ups, even more far than 70 kilos for 10 reps on dips. But you might think, is it worth it to try to progress with the 2-set method when you can go for a strength method, which will give you better progress in strength, but less progress in muscle growth? You understand? That's the difference. And one more thing that I wanted to tell you when it comes to making mistakes. Once you have the knowledge, once you know how things work, you've got a good workout program, you've got a good method, you've got a good diet, mistakes are the hardest thing to take seriously. Because it's impossible not to make mistakes, you just need to at least get the major mistakes out of the way. And I've got such a good analogy, I'll give you the best example you can ever give when it comes to this. So, many people here who watch me are religious, some type of religion. There's sins in the religion. People sin. It's impossible not to sin, yeah? That's one hardest problem. Same with training. You can look at you making mistakes as sins. It's impossible not to make them. People try not to make at least the major ones. You know, we still make the small ones, but the small ones are not enough to ruin our progress or to stop us from progressing. But the major ones usually stop us. Same with the sins. The major sins, the bad ones, they actually stop us in life. They actually affect our life in a bad way. Same with this. You know, it's a very, very interesting example. It's almost impossible not to make mistakes. You just need to make less mistakes. You understand? And it's impossible to not make mistakes for longer than a couple of hours. Because life. You need to be a robot, and life needs to be unexpected and strict by your own terms, which is impossible. Life is unpredictable. So random things can get in the way. You understand?
With that, it's about being patient as well. I see so many people, they plateau for 1 or 2 workouts and they change everything. But like the body, it's not some robot that's going to linearly progress time and time again. I'd say that the people that don't stick to the 2-set method and just give up, they're stopping sooner than they should. They could keep making progress if they took maybe a deload or just patiently stayed at a similar intensity, volume, same workout for a week or 2, then ramped up over time.
Yeah. And I noticed only the people who are into strength have something a bit to say about the 2-set method, which is obvious because they don't hear about failure. Failure is for muscle growth. You're not into muscle growth, so why are you speaking about the method? You understand? Because if you want to get into the strength stuff, I'll impress you that I might know more than you. So how about you don't complain? But yeah, I'm just showing off a little bit, which is just a joke. Okay.
It's hard. You can't please everyone with a method that is optimal for everything. What you've said here is the 2-set method helps with strength, helps with hypertrophy, not the best for either, because it's borrowing principles of each. And where the 2-set method is different is you're taking things to failure. With general strength training, you've got a rep or 2 in reserve, low reps. Whereas what I've seen with your 2-set method, you're not just doing sets of 1 to 5 reps. You're playing with rep ranges, you're playing with failure, and it's just a mix, like a mad scientist's method. People don't understand intensity. They're not actually going to genuine failure when they're training.
What some people might think, okay, failure. I do pull-ups, non-stop. Okay, non-stop, I do non-stop maximum, barely non-stop, and then I pause, 1 more rep and I'm done. No, this is not the best way to... You could have done 2 more reps if you follow a specific way to go until failure.
This episode is sponsored by Fitness FAQs. Learn how to master calisthenics with the best bodyweight workouts. Use the coupon code podcast20 at checkout to get 20% off when shopping at Fitness FAQs. Hurry, take advantage of this discount and enjoy the progress. Ian, you've stopped doing weighted calisthenics, which you were very well known for. You've gone full commitment into skills. Why have you transitioned to this?
The main reason is because I knew I had to travel and move to different place. And if you travel and move to different place, it's the worst thing that can happen to my progress. It's like my body is so sensitive to just mistakes. You understand? People might think I've got good genetics and stuff, but if I travel to a different country, I move out, yeah? And the bar is a bit different. It's still a good pull-up bar. The bar is a bit different. Every single time I automatically lose minimum 5 to 7.5 kilos in my working sets when I move out. You understand? And I knew I was going to move out again to move to Moldova, and I move out again in 6 months. And with skills, it's easy to progress even when we move out. Because in worst case, you're going to lose some weight. Losing weight is good for skills. So, you know, it's a win-win kind of situation. So I will definitely get into weighted calisthenics because I did not achieve what I want to achieve. But even now, 3 days ago, I did some weighted calisthenics for the first time in a long time. You know why? Because I'm doing skills now, but for sure I lost strength in weighted calisthenics. And I'm thinking, if I at least maintain my weight on weighted calisthenics, so I'm not going to do any workouts that are even close to good solid intensity that are actually hard. No, I'm just going to do my full calisthenics workout. I'm going to do planche and front lever to the maximum like I should. And after that, I'll just do some solid sets of weighted pull-ups and weighted dips just to mostly keep my strength on point. Because I'm thinking, if my strength is going to get higher in weighted pull-ups and weighted dips and I'm just going to maintain it, the skills will be a bit better. Because now I'm training skills with less basics than I've had before.
And that was what I was going to point out. It's that extra recovery. It's an advantage in this case. And that's what I really like about your situation here, Ian. And I wish I could take your way of doing things, because I, like most people in calisthenics, we unlock skills. We want to do everything. I want to keep doing the front lever, the one arm chin up, like doing muscle ups, weighted calisthenics, throw some weight lifting in there as well. You start adding too much, your progress really slow or even stalling completely. And I like the fact that you've embraced this, because you always preach that if you want to make the most progress at something, you have to stick to it. If it's weight calisthenics, go hard on that, like an 80-20 principle.
Yes, you said a very good problem. And you know what's the only thing I would change about this problem? It's not maybe what you think I would change. I would change, let's say I'm the guy who chose to do too many skills, weights, weighted dips, too many things, and I don't progress. What I want to change is only one thing. In the moment when things go bad because he's doing too many things, he needs to think, I'm the problem, I messed up, I'm doing something wrong. And not, oh, the program, oh, this coach, oh, this method, always something. Always something is the reason and not you. You are the reason for everything, everything. You understand? So this is one thing I'll change, because once people change that, they will end up getting to the truth eventually.
That's what is so good about training, because it's one of the few things in our life that we actually have a lot of control over. I think that's what draws people into training. You can go when you want, you can do how much you want, you can pick what exercise you want. Most of life isn't like that. You got to go to school, university, work, you're being told what to do, you're around other people. If their vibe's good, you feel good. If they're being toxic, it brings you down. This is just to say that I agree with you. And I've raised that as a point. And for people that listen to the Fitness FAQs podcast, they know that I like to be a jack of all trades. And I'm not there like, oh, my progress is so slow. Oh, I haven't made big gains in a year. I like this. I like playing with a lot of different things, knowing that I'm not the best. But you said it best there, Ian. You have to own that. You can't blame things or other people.
Yeah. And one of the most important things about an athlete, I would say, is not just training related. It's about knowing how to deal with any problems in life. It's very important, because many problems in life affect your training easily. If you react the wrong way to a problem, you deal with it wrong, it's gonna maybe make you skip some meals. It's going to make you sleep bad for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. It's going to make you not focus in your workouts. And if you don't have a lot of confidence, a lot of motivation, a lot of drive, you're not really going to progress in training. So it's going to make things worse. So you need to know how to deal with problems in life. And honestly, I think I got to a very good level at this. You know why? Just because I knew this is important since I'm 16 years old. I knew this is the way. I know this is very important. And now I got to the point where I've got same problems that everybody has in life. I just never react to them. I'm never impressed when something happens. You understand? And controlling your emotions is very important. I don't remember the last time I was angry or when I raised my voice at something. You understand? This is very important. Control your emotions in anything in life, because there's not a single situation you can give me where being emotional leads to something good. Maybe you can try to give me some situation, but it's very tough. So I realized this also, and now I'm very calm in any situations. I'm very calm because you raise your voice, you say something wrong to someone, or you do something wrong. You understand? So this is also a very important thing that I have been focusing on for many years.
Understanding what you want and knowing your goals. We hear this all the time. It sounds so cliche. You've got to set your goals, but you could speak to this, Ian. I'm sure you see the students that you have that have clear goals. I want to get this exercise. I want this, and that's all they want. They're not going to get distracted by all the other things. And I've found that such a key part of that, not being too emotional or having a bit more detachment, so that you can be like, I'm doing this so that I can get this result in my training. Sleep, nutrition, all this. You put it in perspective. It's not, oh, I should go to sleep because it's good for my health. It's no, I want to perform. I want to progress. That's why I'm sleeping like this.
I'll give you the easiest analogy for this. I give you a 10 out of 10 workout plan, the best in the world. 10 out of 10 diet, best one out there. Best situation, you're not going to progress if you don't have a goal. Very small chance. If you don't write down what you did, if you don't have a specific goal and you think about it, minimum 5 to 20 times a day, you think about the goal, even on your rest day, you're not going to achieve good results. You understand? You need to have a goal. And people are like, man, I don't have a goal. How do I create one? Well, sit down in your bed, think, what do I actually want? Okay, you know what you want, at least a bit. You go on YouTube, you find some motivational videos, you find an athlete, you look at him, you get motivated. You build this motivation. You understand? You create it. Don't wait for someone to give it to you. Don't wait. You never wait. You create it. Same with getting motivated. You don't get motivated because of something. Act motivated. Act like, man, today I'm going to smash. Today I'm confident. I see myself doing this easily. Confidence, and start moving around the house very fast and aggressive. You move motivated. You act motivated, and you will be motivated. You understand?
The people that have the goal, they have that target which they're aiming for, those are the people in the workouts that actually try hard, that actually train to failure, because it's uncomfortable, man. You got to psychologically get yourself amped up. When you knew the previous workout that you did was difficult, and this time you're trying to beat it, if you don't have a goal, you're going to stop short of fatigue and when short of failure. But if you know, I have to do 15 reps, it might fucking kill me in the moment, but I'm going to go for it. That is the mindset that allows you, and it compounds over time.
So for people to understand, we don't speak about this stuff for fun, just to speak about something today. We actually speak because this is very, very important. And let me give you a sign of when you know that your motivation is 10 out of 10. And by the way, if the motivation is less than 7 out of 10, you've made a mistake. Not someone else, you've made a mistake. When is it 10 out of 10? When before the workout, within 10 to 20 minutes or even 5 minutes before the workout, because of motivation, you have hair going up on your arms. Just for 1 second, for 3 seconds at least, because of a song, because of something you thought about, that's it. You reached peak of motivation. In this moment, you don't need to break the motivation, because one wrong mistake, it goes down to 0. You know what's the mistake? Speaking to someone for longer than 3 seconds. You get to the gym, you speak to someone for longer than 3 seconds, it's gone. At the reception, hello, goodbye, move on. Quickly. Only quick words, boom, you run away. I'm very busy.
No socializing, guys. It's all about the gates. You got to lock in.
No. It's very bad. So you just try to keep it on point. That's it.
Ian, I once had this moment when I was training. I was doing a set of heavy pull-ups, and mid-set, someone came up to me and was asking me, "Oh, can I please use the 15 kilo?" And I'm in the middle of the set. Like, I just grunted at this dude. Like, what the hell do you think, man? I'm balls deep in this set. Just at least have the courtesy after the set to ask me. But it was, I'll never forget it. I was doing the pull-ups. You could tell this dude has never, bless his soul, it was probably his first day in the gym. I might have scared him for the rest of his life, but basic gym etiquette, not when someone's mid-set.
You know, as I told you, I'm doing a very good job at controlling my emotions. I don't remember the last time I raised my voice. If I'm about to do a set in 3 seconds, when I see someone approaching me, knowing that they could ask me questions, I'm thinking I'm going to do something bad to him if he asks me a question. And I'm not going to do that, but it's such a wrong moment for this that I'm thinking there's no way.
It's the energy that comes off.
Yes, there's no way this guy is about to ask me when he sees I'm about to do something. That's crazy. And again, of course, I'm not going to do anything, but in my mind, it's the worst moment ever. So it's a reasonable crash out, basically. From your side, I perfectly understand it. So yeah, it's very, very crazy. It's very reasonable for you to be upset at the guy. But at the same time, we still need to be calm, because maybe the guy doesn't take his sets seriously. Maybe he talks during the sets.
Exactly.
He thinks it's normal. So what you could do, it's unlucky. It doesn't happen every day anyway. So it is what it is, basically.
You got to remember that not everyone in the gym as well is writing everything down, having a training program, taking this really seriously. A lot of people go in there just to socialize, maybe sweat a little bit, get a little bit of a muscle pump, but we're not talking to those people in a podcast like this. How do you manage negative self-talk before, during, or after a workout?
Yeah, negative self-talk. And this is a very important one, because being 100% confident is very important before your sets. It's very, very important. One thought about, oh man, I might not do it. It might go bad. And you actually support the thought. It's about, do you decide to actually think about it longer and support the thought, or do you just say, bro, I'm so stupid for even thinking about that. Of course I'm going to do it. Understand? It's about how you react to the negative thought. Negative thoughts will make you feel comfortable. You might think it's just a negative thought. You'll still push intense. No, it's going to make you feel, why would I push like crazy if it's not going to go good anyway?
Yeah, and it's not only during the workout, it's also afterwards, because in our mind, if we have these high standards for ourselves, we always want to try and add a rep, add a 2.5 kilo to an exercise. But the truth is, it doesn't happen every single time. And when I was younger, I used to be, man, maybe I just didn't try hard enough or something like that. And I'd really beat myself up about it, like a lot more than I probably should have. But now I learn to have that feeling, think about it, and then I use it as a point of reflection. How was my sleep? How was my nutrition? How many weeks into my training program am I? And often it is something that has led up to that. And instead of just getting emotional and getting upset and just let it ruin your day, you need to use that as it's easier said than done, but you need to use that as information to guide your next decision.
Yes, so it's basically very simple here. There's no other option in life than to use the negative thoughts or anything negative in life only as motivation for whatever it is. Maybe motivation to not do the same mistake again, not be in the same, but just to be upset about it. And this is interesting one because everybody watching us is exactly like the way we describe. Most people, more than 90%. And this is unfortunately normal because the people you surround yourself with, everybody complains, everybody speaks bad about somebody. It's unfortunately normal. You just need to realize it one day and you realize how you suddenly don't even have so many friends anymore. Understand? Because I would rather be alone. Look, I would rather be alone for 10 years than have one wrong friend with only one bad habit that we do together. You understand how important it is to surround yourself with good people? It's one of the most important things. Let's say you're around 4 people who smoke. You're gonna smoke, it's all about time. There's no chance. There is no such thing as your friends saying, oh, you wanna smoke? You say no, oh, no problem. Nobody's like, they will ask you 20 times in a day, a lot of times. And you'll notice every person who does something bad, they have a good reason behind it. You understand? They have a good reason why they're doing something bad. You understand? And it's weird because what they do is bad, but they have a good reason behind it. For example, clubbing. People are like, oh, but you're young, you need to have fun. Yeah, but where is this going to get you? Into fights, problems, or you just feeling hungover the next day. You understand? It's just, again, you will one day realize this will never get you anywhere. You understand? So that's the earlier you find out, the better it is for you.
And I'm sure you've had this as well, Ian, where you've got friends or family that have tried to pressure you with food and stuff. Oh man, you're always eating so healthy. Why don't you have some more junk food? Live a little. And, there's a time and a place to have moderation and, not be so strict with your nutrition. But I never get someone saying that is also serious about their goals. It's always, in a way, it's trying to bring you towards their level because they can see what you're doing, committing to a healthy lifestyle, having goals. It's a bit messed up human psychology, how it works in that way, hey?
What you just now mentioned something that I'm going to tell you that I always thought about, but I never shared with anybody because nobody asked me the right question. In these moments when someone's like, oh yeah, bro, just drink a little bit. Just do this, eat some unhealthy food when you don't have to. They force you to do something bad when you don't have to do it. You assert character in that moment. You show them, you even can make them feel weird for even offering that. It's not you that needs to feel weird for declining their offer. They're weird for offering that. So think the right way. You understand? So be like, no, of course not. It's like, show confidence that you know what you're doing. Even get upset because they offer. You understand? Just be like, bro, why do you offer to me something that's going to make me feel bad and it's only bad? Do you want bad for me? Put them on the spot.
Yeah, they don't align with your values. It's like you want to be healthy, you want to be positive, you've got clear goals that you're working towards. Someone that's trying to, in a way, derail you from that or steer you down a different path with, as you said, clubbing, drinking, those type of things that may not suit your life direction. Man, stay in your lane. I agree.
You admitting that you're wrong is the best thing you can do for you to improve. So when I'm now, let's say on the call, let's say for example, we're on a call to debate about some methods, some knowledge, which one's better, who knows more, yeah? If I get on this call, my goal today is not to win the argument, but is to lose the argument. Because if I gained all this knowledge from somewhere and you prove to me that there's better thing out there, I will say thank you to you. I'll even send you money after this call because you gave me some good knowledge. You understand? That's the mindset for me. I'm not here to try to argue. If you prove me that I'm wrong and I keep fighting, come on, like calm down. You understand? Be a man, accept it, take it, and move on.
This isn't TikTok. This isn't Instagram short form content. This is a podcast. This is how people actually talk to each other. They respect each other's opinions. They try and get to the best possible outcome. You're not going to agree 100% of the time. I've never done the 2-step method. I know, shame on me, Ian. I'm sorry, man. I've never committed to something like that. But when you speak about it, I see the merit of it. It does make sense, and it's you just have to keep. I think it's fun to keep an open mind. Imagine doing the exact same thing.
Yes.
Like we've been training for a long time, both you and I. We're not doing the exact same workout that we once did, which takes me on to an interesting point. On the internet, even if you don't have a social media profile, over time you change your opinion. Your friends might be like, or your family, oh, you used to think that. And that can be seen as a sign of weakness, or it can be a sign of strength. It's, you know what? I've updated my beliefs. I'm trying to progress. And I'm sure if we had this chat in another 3 or 4 years, there's things if we look back now, we'll be like, ooh, based on that context and what I've learned, maybe I'd do it differently. That's growth.
You know, it's not about what someone says to you, it's about if what they say makes sense. You understand? So some people can say a lot of things, but does it make sense? Like, do you just think about it and okay, it makes sense? And you will never get to a good point in a conversation with someone if they start to raise their voice or get emotional. Never. You can end the conversation there, you can leave and go home. If someone is raising a bit their voice, they're getting a bit quick, they're moving quick, you'll never get to anywhere with them. You'll never prove them wrong. Never. It doesn't matter what you say, nothing will ever change. You understand? And we realize this a lot because of relationships with women, eh? You also understand this a lot, eh? So if you have a wife, this is proven to you crazily. You only speak when everything is chill and calm.
100%, brother.
Yeah, it's so important.
You don't win the argument by telling them how it is. The best way to get that outcome is for them to say what you would have told them, but come to it themselves. It's like, oh yeah, they'll say something and they figure it out themselves. And you're like, oh, it's completely different to saying, this is how it's got to be. Same with training.
Yeah. If there's something important to speak about, you start to speak about it with your wife and it doesn't go good in the moment because of emotions, act like the conversation is done for today and everything is okay. Start again tomorrow. You don't give up on this subject until you speak about it until the end. And even if you speak about it until the end, it's not going to change from the first try. It needs time for reminders. You know, if let's say she's doing something a bit wrong, that, you know, it makes sense. She even agrees that yes, this is wrong and it is better if I improve on this. It's not going to improve straight away. It needs time. You need patience and time, and keep explaining. And yeah, it's good to admit when you're wrong. So if you have a partner who you can see he's wrong, but he doesn't admit it, it's a bad idea. You need to have like a 3-hour discussion about this, you know, until it gets sorted. My goal when I speak to someone and argue with someone in a calm way is to be wrong. Because if I'm wrong, it means, again, you prove me something that is better than what I used to think. I
didn't know that I was going to get relationship advice on this podcast, but I'm sure the listeners are very surprised and taking notes. It's real talk. It's helpful.
So important. That's why I speak about this, because it affects people's days. You know, because you have some problems with your wife and you don't solve them quick, she's not going to cook for you. You're going to eat some random shit. You understand? So you're going to sleep bad because you need to sleep in a different couch now. You know, not in your own bed. So it's a lot of problems related to this. So I'm speaking about training now.
Guys, you keep the relationship healthy so that you keep making the gains. That's the priority as well.
Yes.
High rep, high volume calisthenics. What are the downsides of this method for gaining strength?
High rep and high volume. Okay, give me an example and a skill that we're talking about or a movement that we're talking about. Let's get deep into this today. That's it. Now we get into all details possible.
They're just doing high rep bodyweight basics, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, inverted rows, the kind of stuff that you see at the park where people just do circuits and they don't have a real progression structure.
Tell me, how many reps and sets the guy is doing? Give me more examples about exactly what he's doing.
He's doing something sub-maximal, i.e. 10 sets of 10.
If he's doing 10 sets of 10 and he manages to do 10 reps in all 10 sets, it means the intensity is good. Like, it's not too bad. You understand? So, but if he's doing 10 sets until failure, then it's a problem. You understand? But if he's doing 10 sets of 10, of course, there's maybe a same way of doing it, but a bit different, which is a bit better. Like, let's say, 4 sets of 17, for example, he might manage to do. So it's a bit less sets, a bit more effective, and he doesn't have to work out for so long. If he enjoys training for longer and doing something in a good weather in a nice park, he can do 10 sets of 10. You can still progress by doing 10 sets of 11 next time. You can still maybe do 11 sets of 10 or 12 sets of 10 with time. You can still improve and progress the overload. But if I coach someone, I would be more intense with their goals. It's like, it's not worth doing 10 sets of 10 when you can do 4 sets of 17 and get better results. And usually, if you're good at convincing somebody and proving to them that what you're saying is better, they will actually end up doing it. So if as a coach, you're not doing a good job at convincing to someone well and explaining it well, it's not him that has a weird goal. You didn't explain it properly. You understand?
That's a fascinating point because the placebo effect, where your belief can enhance the effect of whatever you've been given, whether it's a medication, some type of advice. You can use the placebo effect in a positive way. And what you've said there with a coach who says, this method, it's going to work, it's effective, it's perfect for your goals, your lifestyle. If you absorb that and you've got 100% faith and confidence in it, you're going to put more effort, more belief into it, and you'll get a better outcome. Now, of course, this placebo effect, for it to actually work, you can't know it's a placebo, which is actually the tricky part.
Man, this placebo, I've got an interesting also story. I used to get motivated, so I always act like I get motivated from coffee. I don't think I feel it anymore. It just keeps me like more awake. But I don't feel it, right? But when I drink it, that's when I feel the energy, which is weird because you don't feel it right in the moment, you feel it later. So one day there was a time for a couple of weeks where I was getting same motivation like always from coffee, only to find out I was drinking decaf coffee. So decaffeinated coffee. You understand? So I was like, interesting. So I was getting crazy motivation and it's not even real. You understand? It's like no caffeine in it. Very interesting. You see? And I wish sometimes maybe to tell my wife, look, don't tell me it's decaf, just give it to me. You understand? It's fine. But don't tell me, because if I know, then it's a problem.
Yeah. And just back to that high rep, high volume stuff, I'm in a similar school of thought as you, Ian, where if you're doing such a large amount of reps or you're doing so many sets of your static holds, you are spreading out your intensity and volume over more instead of just condensing it down. Some people, they like to just spend a lot of time training. And I think for them, if they understand that they could get the same results, if not better, in shorter time by training more intense, that's cool. But if you just want to, have fun and just train for a long time, I can see why people like these styles of workouts.
Yeah, I can put a 5-hour subject into 20 seconds quickly. The very general stuff. Find a good method on how to progress or in skills or in weights, a good progressive overload method that you can stick to and it will give you good gains. Get a workout structure, so when to do it, what days to do it, and learn about what mistakes can give you plateaus, how to also get out of the plateaus, what can stop you from progressing. That's it. You stick to it. You have confidence it's going to work. So at that time, if you don't progress, you've done something wrong. It's nobody else. You've done something wrong. The program is proven to work until a very good level. You don't progress in. You've done something wrong. What have you done wrong? Find out. You understand? And just because you know the mistakes or you have knowledge, it doesn't mean anything. Using the knowledge is very, very complicated. I've had a good knowledge for many years and I still didn't use it. I made mistakes. You understand? A lot of mistakes because I knew what's a mistake and I kept doing it. You understand? It's very, very complicated.
The easiest thing that you can do to be your own coach is just to write down your workouts. You'd be surprised how many people they train by feel. Hey, what did you do last week? I think I did 3 sets of 10 dips with 40 kilos, but they didn't actually do that. Whereas if you write it down, you don't even have to write it for 8 weeks. Just write what you're doing in the moment. And then you can actually go back and look where you've been. Probably the easiest hack, if you could, for training.
And this is one of those things that are the most important, but we forgot to mention it. Understand? And when I say that,
I didn't forget, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah, what you said, very important. I would even add, how did the reps that you did feel? How many reps in reserve did you have? All these details, very important. Maybe you had a bad workout, but write down why. Did you feel some stomach pain? Did you have some headache? Write down why it went bad. Don't just say you had a bad workout, because in a week you might forget why. You might think something else is the reason, or something just went wrong, you need to change something, when actually you just felt a bit sick. So you need to write down all the details possible.
Could you imagine going into workout, not knowing how many reps you did, how much weight you're lifting? You just go by feel. You got like a blindfold on to what you're doing in your workout. There's no meaning. How do you attach any type of satisfaction to what you're doing? It's just, I feel like I got a bit sore or something like this.
I learned how to fall asleep in 1 to 3 minutes, when all my life it took me 30 minutes and stuff. This is a very good topic to get into. Before sleep, you don't care about anything. Even family, even important goals, even this stuff, you don't care about anything before sleep. If you care about it before sleep, why you didn't care about it throughout the day? Why didn't solve it throughout the day? You understand? Or leave it for tomorrow, or deal with it during the day. Do not leave it for at night. You're not going to solve anything. All you're going to do by thinking too much is ruin your sleep and take long to fall asleep. You understand?
100%. And one of the worst things that you can do to ruin your sleep, having your phone in your bedroom, is the most stupid thing to do. Don't charge your phone in your room. Don't have it near you, because you're going to go on Instagram, you're going to go on YouTube, TikTok, you're going to go to bed much later than you should be, or you'll get messages from people and then you'll want to problem solve when it's 10 p.m. You don't do that at that point.
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely a good point, but you know what? I'll admit, this is a good point, but I don't do this.
Oh, shame on you, Ian. Nah,
no,
mate.
I should do this. It's good to do it, but you know why I don't do it? Because I fall asleep in 1-3 minutes anyway. But it does not mean I would suggest to anybody to do this. Because I know, in my case, this doesn't mean anything. I just quickly reply to my community in Discord, do some stuff quickly. I'm not just laughing around on memes, watching something crazy. No, chill. Everything is very chill. You understand? But man, with sleep, one actually big issue I've noticed with people that nobody talks about because it's a bit uncomfortable is the fact that it's normalized for people to wake up to go to toilet during the night. Have you heard about this often?
For sure. Yeah. It's 2, 3, 4 times.
They drink water right before the bed, or they eat something too close to the bed, and most foods are very high in water. Understand? Very high. So it's just the fact that the body is going to digest the food and you're going to sleep bad because of this. Plus, most foods have minimum 50 to 80% of water in them. So you're just going to wake up at toilet. But what happens sometimes in my case is that I've had everything on point, I did everything right, and I still woke up to go to toilet during the night. You know why? Because my body is used to it. It got used to this, and I just had to stop. Like, I just believed that I can easily overcome this, and I just stopped going to toilet, or I tried my best to not go. And then things started to get better. It took some time. But people, what they want to do is, bro, I can never fall asleep. Bro, I can never do this. This mindset. Negative and very intense mindset. This is a big problem.
It's a problem when you gain more knowledge, because if you understand the importance of sleep and how important it is for your brain, your performance in the gym, your recovery for muscle and strength, then when it comes time to go to sleep, you think, oh, I've got to get to bed. I've got to sleep. Oh, it's taken me half an hour to fall asleep. You get in your head this negative loop, and it almost becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy where you care so much about it, and it almost ruins the quality of sleep. So it's understanding that it is important, but then having these wind down routines where you prioritize sleep. Eating 2 to 3 hours before sleep is so much better than half an hour before sleep eating a big meal. I've got an example of this because I usually eat around 6:30, and I'm in bed sleeping by 10:30. The other day, for whatever reason, I had a later schedule. I had to eat at like 9. My sleep that night was trash, man. I was waking up 5-6 times almost every half an hour because I felt digestion and I just could not fall asleep.
And was the issue is that some people will comment and say, bro, I eat right before sleep and I'm fine. It doesn't mean anything. There's people who sleep 5-6 hours every day and they say they're fine because they got used to it. Do they definitely get damaged in all aspects in terms of health? Yes, for sure. Understand? And when it comes to sleep, when I speak about sleep, I don't even speak about training-related sleep. It's obvious, of course, it's going to affect it. But the priority here is health. Health gets damaged the most by even more than I ever expected. And again, what some people would say, bro, my granddad used to sleep 3 hours a night or something like this. And he lived a long life. It doesn't mean the quality of it was bad, and it doesn't mean anything. It's like, bro, my dad used to smoke 50 years and he was fine. Bro, what's this point gonna get people to smoke? What's your point? You understand?
Or an entrepreneur that's saying, I built this big business, I was sleeping 2 hours a night, bro. Well, what happens if you got the same outcome or better and you slept? Your experience of everything would be better.
Well, maybe in some situations, this is not too bad. If, let's say, you've been a lazy guy, you've never done anything, and you suddenly had a realization that you need to change something, then maybe for a couple of days or weeks, it's not too bad if you sleep a bit worse than usual, because you need that life-changing moment, maybe. But this is very, very rare situation. You understand? In most situations, this is not, it doesn't work. It does not apply to most situations. And let's speak about training and sleep, which also I learned from some powerlifting coach who coached the best athletes in UK, a powerlifting coach. He said that one night of sleep, a bad sleep right before the training, usually won't affect your training that much as consistent bad sleep. Because, he said, many athletes go to the competitions and they even 1-2 nights, they don't sleep at all and they still perform like crazy. That's the example he gave. So it makes sense because, again, consistent bad sleep is the worst thing. One night bad of sleep, of course it's bad, but it doesn't compare to consistent bad sleep.
The same thing applies to training. You miss one workout, not the end of the world. But if you consistently are having missed workouts, really bad workouts with low intensity, of course it's going to affect things. So I like that point, Ian, because people can hear us talking about the importance of sleep for recovery and then go into that fear of, I have to be perfect all the time. It's not all the time. We're humans. We're not going to be able to sleep perfectly every single time. So it's reassuring knowing that one night of bad sleep won't destroy your gains.
Yes. How about you just give me some scenarios of a guy, his level, his goal, and I will tell you what's the best thing to do for him in details.
Okay, let's approach some skill stuff. Let's say someone wants to unlock freestanding handstand push-ups. They are strong enough to do 10 pike push-ups on the floor. They can do around 3 to 5 handstand push-ups against the wall, and they can hold a handstand for 30 seconds, but not always consistently. What's your roadmap for them to unlock a handstand push-up?
Okay, I think this guy, or he learns the handstand push-ups in the first workout, at least half rep, or he learns it in few workouts. He's very close. But one important detail I would want to know, only one, is his pike push-up. Let's say he does it with straight legs, he does pike push-ups, and he goes down. If he goes down and he managed to lift his leg up, while at the bottom part, it means he has more than enough strength from pike push-ups to do the handstand push-ups. And it's very, very easy for him to progress at this level. He doesn't need to do negatives, he doesn't need to do anything else. He needs to try handstand push-ups, and he tries to do this, only this, very low rep range. He's doing lower rep range, then more rep range, more. If this was very easy, go lower in the same workout. Slowly go lower, slowly go lower. But also warm-up is important. So you warm up by doing intense pike push-ups. Your last warm-up set is intense 1-2 intense pike push-ups because you plan to do 1 rep. And you do like, I would say 8 to 15 sets of 1 rep. You understand? So you keep sticking to 1 rep only, never 2 reps until you get at least a bit lower than 90 degree on handstand push-ups. Once you get to 1 rep of lower than 90 degree depth on handstand push-up and you do most sets, so out of 10 sets you manage to get 8 sets of a solid 1 rep and it looks good, everything is solid, you can go into 2 reps, but now you go 5 sets of 2 or 4 sets of 2. Once you do 4 sets of 2 and you do 5 sets of 2 and your last 2 reps in the 5th set feel like you could have done 3-4 reps in total, then you go 6 sets of 2. Once you do 6 sets of 2 and in the last set you feel like you can do 1-2 more reps in reserve, then you do 7 sets of 2. And you do this progression until you get to 8 sets of 2. Once you do 8 sets of 2, and again in the last set you've got 1-2 reps in reserve, then you drop to 5 sets, but you do 3 reps. Or you do 4 sets, but 3 reps. And so on and so on. That's how you progress. Best method possible for progressing on handstand push-ups, because you have a good amount of volume, you have solid intensity, and on handstand push-ups, the secret is to not be close to failure or until failure in your last working set. Your last working set, you should have minimum 1-2 reps in reserve. Because handstand is about balance. Yeah.
That's a very different approach to how I'd do it. I haven't experimented too much with the partial reps. I would personally, I would go for more of the eccentric, just to groove that pattern in reverse. But I'm in a similar line of thinking as you, as this person has enough balance in their handstand. Cool. I would say that their strength, they could get a little bit more, because the hard part with pike push-ups is there's 10 reps and there's 10 real pike push-ups where you're leaning forward, barely any weight on the toes. Maybe you're coming up off the bottom. I'd have to see what their pike push-ups actually are. And I just think that overhead pressing, the 3 reps against the wall, it's not enough. A little bit more of a surplus of strength, being able to do 5, 6 for a single rep freestanding.
Don't you think that person would need to change to doing pike push-ups, but like 6 sets of 2 or 6 sets of 3, like a lower rep range?
Strength.
Yeah,
100%, man.
Because high rep range, she doesn't need high rep range, she doesn't need a lot of reps. So I would suggest them to do still handstand push-ups, but less range of motion, so it's easier to do it. You understand? And one mistake so far that people do, the biggest one on handstand push-ups, is doing the reps too fast. It's easy to lose balance, and balance is the main part. So don't go explosive like in any other exercise. This has been my mistake for over 3 years on handstand push-ups, or 2 years. I was doing them too explosive, too fast. Oh, my legs go down, or my legs go that way. So I ruin a set.
Such a hard exercise, the handstand push-up. Even you see the strongest people doing them, there's always an element of shake, fatigue, and workout to workout. It's not as if every time you're rock solid. It's so like up and down. One workout strong, one's all shaky. And with the rep speed, I've noticed that as well, because we use a faster eccentric and a bounce to use the stretch, the elastic recoil to come up, maximize our strength. But that's the tricky part about the handstand push-up. You go down too quickly, you lose balance. You go down too slowly, then you really have to strengthen it up. So it's a fine line.
One of the biggest things that I hate about handstand push-ups is often when you feel the most fresh, things are the best, you have the worst workouts. And when you feel the worst, you sometimes have the best workouts. It's very confusing sometimes, because probably it's tendons mostly in this movement working. So sometimes the muscles can give you, we mostly feel the muscles maybe. So the muscles tell us, bro, everything's good, but the tendons are feeling more weird maybe, or suspicious. So you can't feel the tendons.
When it's
When
it's a balance and skill, and even just your hand placement, you go from, say, shoulder width, you go slightly wider, completely different movement. You go from, obviously, hands on floor to parallettes. It might as well be a different exercise.
Yeah. It makes a massive difference, the grips. But there's some people who train mostly all kinds of grips. Those people are very good, but they spend hours and hours almost every day doing only that. So it's very hard to combine with something else, which is good. If that's their goal, perfectly, do it. But if your goal is different, you do different stuff.
From what I see with a handstand push-up, people rush too quickly into trying to actually do the freestanding handstand push-up when their strength it's not enough. Their weighted dip, they can't even do like 40 kilos on a weighted dip. If you've seen a military press or something with barbells, they can't do any weight. And if you don't have this extra surplus of strength, the balance becomes even more challenging. So my takeaway is practice your handstand isolation for a long time. Get that balance, like a minute. Be able to hold it for a minute like it's a joke. Get strong enough, wall handstand push-ups, military press, weighted dips. Then the ones that are like, okay, I've mastered my basics. Now I'm going to do the partials. Now I'm going to do the eccentrics. They learn it like that.
Is when we mentioned that they should do weights that help skills. Okay, let's get this straight. You training skills is the fastest way you'll get the skill. But doing weights first and then getting into skills is a good approach that many top athletes suggest, and they suggest it for a reason. Understand? But getting a planche, getting a handstand push-up, getting any skills is the best to get if you train only that specifically. But doing weights first is a good approach because you skip through many progressions and because it's a good way for you to understand how training works by doing weights first, because weights are easier than skills. Progressing in weights is way easier than it is on skills. And there's a smaller chance of injury and messing up. It's because on handstand push-ups, you a bit injure the wrist, you're gonna feel it all the time. If you don't heal it, you're gonna feel it until you heal it. You understand? Small issues in the wrist, you feel them for a very, very long time, even if it's a small issue, because you keep putting pressure on it and they take long to get rid of. So if you don't start actually doing some blood flow to it, making it stronger, doing maybe some massage in some area, it's not gonna go away. So it's a good approach to take. But if you have a good coach and you only want skills, you don't need to do weighted calisthenics if you don't care about muscle growth.
Long term, I tend to see people going through each of those worlds. They spend a season doing their weighted basics, full range of motion stuff, bent arm type of exercises, build some muscle, build some general strength. Then they'll work on some skills, spend some time dedicated to that. And, cycling through into, a period of basics, a period of skills, maybe a period of doing both. I rarely see people, unless they're competing or they're just super obsessed, just stick to one thing for 10 plus years. But the beauty of training, the beauty of investing this, period of getting stronger and working on stuff is that you can maintain other things without directly doing them. When I wanted to go for handstand push-ups, I stepped back from my weighted dips. I didn't lose much size. I unlocked increased performance and skills on that. And then, once I unlocked multiple freestanding handstand push-ups deep and I'm happy with that, then I went back on dips and I hadn't really lost that much. Took a workout or two, still quite strong. And that's what we need to tell people. It's if you spread yourself way too thin, either exercise hopping or program hopping, even worse, you're just not going to reach your potential. And by being patient and just putting more of your priority in one thing, whether it's basics or skills or physique, in the end, you can celebrate your body. It doesn't take me that much now to maintain what I've got in these domains.
You just made me want to speak about something that is very, very important, and I've never spoken about it, and is the truth for sure. And nobody knows about this, but the athletes know. So when you watch an athlete on social media, you see him do random combinations, one day one skill, one day another skill, one day this, one day that. Do not judge an athlete's workouts based on what you see online. You have seen me do skills for years and years, only skills on social media, while I was doing all this time weighted calisthenics. I just never posted about it. When you see an athlete do combinations, if that athlete does not go competitions to show those combinations, he's doing it for the video. He's not doing it as part of his training most of the time. Because doing combinations is done mostly for combinations. It's hard to plan this stuff and have, okay, every workout I'm going to try this combination specifically. I'm going to make it a bit harder by adding 1 second here, 1 second here. Nobody does that. The athletes who have very good skills, they just do a combination that looks cool for a video, or they prepare for competition. They don't actually get stronger by doing that. Because if things are all over the place, the progress will not be too good. You understand? So, same with some athletes who are doing weighted calisthenics and skills. If you see many skills or a random combination, he sacrificed his training for a video. That's the truth. If the athlete doesn't have a goal to do combinations, all the combinations mostly are random. So many people think, man, how does this athlete do this, and skills and this? Well, maybe the skill, he's just good at it. He maybe randomly does it for a video, and maybe he doesn't even work on it. You understand? Because sometimes you see an athlete who does one-arm pull-ups, front lever pull-ups, he does weighted pull-ups and deadlift. 4 pulling movements in one program. And I think you know who I'm talking about. It makes sense once you listen to his training, but you don't judge before you know anything. So I'm sure if I get on a call with that athlete, he will explain to me and I'm like, okay, makes sense. Like maybe he focuses on 2 things and then randomly he has a day where he tries the skill that he's good at and he can do a lot of reps. So for him to do a couple of reps, he can do it anytime. You understand? So stuff like this. But usually combinations ruins someone's progress. That's why you haven't seen combinations from me for a couple of years now. It's been a long time. because I'm not ready to sacrifice.
It's important when we're watching social media that we keep this in mind, because it's so easy to forget. You just think everyone else is just crushing it. They're setting these PRs. They're doing all these crazy workouts, and just how are they working on all these things? Often it's an archive and it's posted strategically. That was really well said. Important information. Ian, Mr. 188 centimeters, 95 kilos. That was a epic chat, brother. Where can people find out your work if they're not following you already?
Man, if they don't follow me already, you just type Jan Barsigel anywhere online. I would suggest people to watch my YouTube, because now the stuff that you see here, I'm speaking about it there. Like sometimes I even do no edits. I just go deep into a subject and I share a lot of information about. So YouTube, best place so far. And Instagram, of course, all the other social media, but I would suggest YouTube.
Peace, brother. Take care.
Yeah, it was good talking to you, man. Take care.